Development Head of Daiichi Properties to hear. Let's hear his story.
You guys ever feeling sad or depressed? You have to have Richard in your speed dial. You do the best guy. So before I begin, as Richard mentioned, Urban Land Institute, one of the things that Charlie Rufino was discussing, is actually I want to shoot a video first. Can you shoot the video first, please? All right.
Take a seat.
Take a spot.
Yun, pwede na kayo. Wala naman ako.
Rich.
Kayo.
Romance.
San Francisco Sports.
Hindi yung ano lang yung...
Oh!
Yung ano ko lang yung po. Ano ko lang.
Civilized. Shopping. Yeah, shopping. Shall I do?
Double size.
Nice people.
Tea.
Vanilla.
Also fun.
Traffic? Sorry, traffic.
Set.
Keep
Set.
trash.
Traffic.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So that video was shot for one of Charlie's projects, Building Healthy Places. So what we were trying to find is the brand identity and the design of cities. So when I moved, before I moved to New York City, you know, if you guys would think of New York City, but so this is how I spent my first 3 months. This is actually me. Before I became a real estate person, I was a full-time model / social activist. I'm kidding with one of those things, but we were fighting people power from the U.S. It was actually taken in Fordham, and the photographer was Corky Lee. So before we moved to New York, the things I had in mind, this is the first time ever, was pretzels, always. And of course, skyscrapers, right? And then the parks, the beautiful parks in New York you would see. And of course, the World Trade Center, right? Times Square. And what we've noticed in the last 30 years, New York City has actually evolved. It continuously evolved. The High Line that Mr. Trujillo mentioned before, the Hearst building is a beautiful building in the Upper West Side. Time Warner Center, in the 90s, this was full of homeless people. Now this is a mixed-use project with Mandarin on top. And of course, Times Square has also evolved. So 90s it was brothels, but now you'll notice Times Square is actually pedestrian friendly. Those are permanent structures now. No cars can go down that road. It wasn't only New York City, San Francisco, another city I lived in for about 4 years, has also continued to evolve. If you all remember, in 1989, right before actually the World Series, the Battle of the Bay, this is the ferry building to your right, and this was actually like Skyway, right? And of course, the 1989 earthquake, the Loma Prieta, was really nasty. I think it was 8 point something. It's one of the 8.9 in Richter scale. So what San Francisco did then was, instead of replace it the same way, they said, let's take it out. Okay, so you'll see, this is now San Francisco as today. So London, how's London changed? You know, London, if Jeremy Kelly was here, he'd tell you how much cross-border transactions go to London. Now, I went to school in LSE, and I stayed in this area called Butler's Wharf. This is pretty much how the streets were normally. And let me just so this is how the streets were normally. But in a matter of 30 years, actually now the design museum is there. So this is how much things are changing. But when I think about Manila in the past 30 years, I compare it to New York, San Francisco, London, some things actually have improved, and as we've seen earlier this morning, but some things actually have gotten worse. And one of those things are, of course, traffic. As you heard from that short clip video, traffic is still worse, or you know, it hasn't improved. Now, of course, congested. This is probably also social housing. You know, Mr. Casanova was pointing out before. But of course, flooded and pedestrian friendly. This is actually in South Celebration, Makati. I took this shot myself about 2 years ago. Okay. So Ayala Avenue, in terms of design, some buildings have changed, but most haven't. And of course, some of the beautiful Art Deco buildings that Manila had. This is Avenida, Rizal Avenue. What do you guys think is replacing this? There's also another iconic structure now standing. It's actually Patty's Point. For all you familiar. That is really what is there now. So that building was torn down in 2006. That's not an isolated case. So in 2001, I was actually working as a consultant for the merger of Morgan Stanley and Dean Witter, and their offices was in the 72nd floor of 2 World Trade, which is the second tower that got hit. When 9/11 happened, everyone in New York was very sad, but 14 years later, this is what 1 World Trade looks like right now. Okay. Beautiful, iconic structure. What that's done is not just change the landscape or the skyline, it's actually changed a few other things. Wall Street was known that after 5 p.m., no one was on the street. People go to work and people leave. That was it. The head of Downtown Alliance, the an organization that measures basically some of the commercial retail, says this is it's the FIDI, financial district. It's no longer what it was before. So what's actually happened in financial district or Wall Street has changed. It's actually, if you ask, 50% of tenants that moved in since 2011 were actually from 3 industries. None of it was financial services. It was technology, advertising, and media. And about 6 full blocks of retail are only the next 2 years will be developed in downtown Manhattan. So Wall Street, as we know it, is no longer the same Wall Street. Okay. So as a developer, I joined Daiichi Properties not too long ago. So what is the goal of a developer for the room? Very simple formula, right? So the old school way of thinking is, well, this guy's Sam Zell. He knows what developers' goals are. Sam Zell was the president and CEO of a company called EOP, Equity Office Properties, one of the biggest REITs in the U.S. In 2007, he sold his company $40 billion to the Blackstone Group. In 2007, so he made $40 billion, right? EOP, Sam Zell, one of the tycoons of real estate. So real estate developers essentially just do this. We buy land, of course we design, then we construct, and we sell it or lease it. That's it. But you see we've evolved, like New York City, London, San Francisco, we've evolved. So the evolution is this, and this is what we do now. Well, we make money. The evolution goes like this. We actually buy land, we design, we construct, and we sell and lease. We have evolved. So actually, essentially, developers still think the same. Now, the only difference is this. There's a few of us, actually, in the Philippines we're looking more to sustainability, technology, and innovation. Okay? So this is slightly a difference now. We still have, of course, profit margins. There are shareholders, stakeholders in the projects, but that's not the only thing we're looking out for. So this building, when we look at how we do things, it's actually the design. The facade is very important. This building is just turned over. It is actually in BGC. It's called One World Place. But it's not just the design, it's how you design. This shot is taken from our Florida room. This is our foreign architects, Gensler, that we've actually collaborated with to do these projects. Okay. So why is design so important? Before we go into real estate, I want to give you guys something hopefully all of us are all familiar with. Do you guys know what phone this is? The Nokia 2600. This was the #1 selling phone in the world in 2007. 15 million of these units were sold globally. And of course, what was introduced then? All right, the iPhone 1. So if you guys have this, this is an icon. This sold half of that, 7 million. In 2008, Nokia rolled out 4 new phones, and they all sold 15 million. But you know how much the iPhone 3G sold? 35 million. All right, in a matter of 1 year, Apple did its thing, and basically Steve Jobs did his thing, and look at design. So design is important. We see that in phones. We don't tend to think that in other industries, like especially real estate. So the question is, why would we focus so much on design? Why do we bring a company like Gensler or other foreign architects to collaborate with us? Well, there was a study done by this company called Motive. And what they did was, out of the Fortune 500 companies, they took 15 design-led companies, and I'll show you the next slide who they are. They took it from '03, 10 years later. They said they took this 15 design-based companies, compared to the S&P, and it basically said if you put $10,000, you'd make 228% more money than you did if you just invested in the index. So what is it about design? So design is quantifiable. So what are these companies? Maybe you get a better perspective. All global brand names. Now, there's 3 of these that are actually close to real estate: Herman Miller, Steelcase, and of course Starwood. Starwood, of course, is W Hotel, and all the brands, right? So these are that 15 companies, and of course Coca-Cola we know, Walt Disney we know, and all of these, Intuit. Okay. So what is it about these companies that makes it so special? What it is that design companies actually are very customer focused. They understand customer needs. Understanding these needs gives you the insights for you to create competitive advantage. So any industry, I could be doing this for real estate, I could be doing this for a logistics forum, it's the same exact thing. To give you another perspective, of course, McKinsey & Company, one of the premier strategy consultants in the industry, just recently, 2 weeks ago, acquired this company called Lunar. It's actually a 30-year-old design company based out of Silicon Valley. What does Lunar do? Well, they built this. They designed this. That's an ice cream cone, a scoop. Beautiful, right? This is OCR, optical character recognition. It's actually for anyone visually impaired. You put it against a newspaper, because you can't see it, it reads it back to you. They designed it. Beautiful, right? Now, I'm a first-time father. So this is actually a bassinet plus a rocking chair. So it has a dual function. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you guys in the room, first guess, Richard buys in a drink. What is this? You just yell it out. Speaker? Any other guesses?
Exercise bike.
All right, Sylvester Wong from ACOM, you know it. That's an exercise bike. Beautiful design, but function is great. Form and function, that's design. Okay. So when they asked the president of that company called Lunar, why did McKinsey buy you? It's basically to bring design forward to strategy to create competitive advantage. You have heard that before. Jeremy Kelly, you were mentioning competitive advantage, city, branding, design, everything. That's branding, competitive advantage. So what does good design do for real estate? Well, of course, better, faster, stronger. Better rents, better yields, faster leasing, faster pre-sales, stronger buildings, everything. This is what real estate does. There's multiple studies around this, and I hope you all look in detail. So green buildings are better designed buildings. So LEED, our buildings are Police Certified LEED Gold, our next 3 buildings. And there is a rental premium, ideally, for these buildings. Not only that, on the sale portion, buildings they have higher capital values. But at the end of the day, I'll simplify this for you. So what does good design do? Well, good design leads to happy, healthy, productive employees, which means a more profitable tenant, which means a more profitable developer. That's really it. Designing the bottom line starts from that, understanding the tenants. So what does bad design do for real estate? So you remember the scenes from the Olympics, Sochi Olympics? Okay, so this was a badly designed bathroom. Okay. So, what bad design of buildings actually can escalate, and I don't know who would be comfortable in this position, but the bad design of buildings actually leads to, let's say, bad design of neighborhoods, cities. So what do bad cities do? Numerous studies, crime, unemployment, blah, 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 but what it really boils down to is social isolation, lack of public space. Okay. So lack of public space, lack of disconnect, cities are meant to put human beings together, right? So there was a great article that came out in the Atlantic a couple of years ago, really questioning, is Facebook making you lonely? Is it really Facebook, or is it just the way our cities are designed or our buildings are designed? So again, how do we stop this? How do we prevent stuff from like this happening? So if I ask the room, what's the most important material, I met talking to Lafarge, what's the most important material in construction or in real estate? All right, concrete. I knew you were going to be here. So if I met anyone else, glass, any glass makers in the room, of course, someone would say glass. some will say steel. But actually, what we believe as a company is actually the people. Okay? The collaboration between people, that's really key in real estate. I think you've heard that theme before earlier. The team on the left is our team, and actually they're spread, and our foreign architects are here. This is before we went, I think it must have been around 2012, let's say, right? So we brought in Gensler to work with the next 3 projects of ours. And this is the first site we worked on. This actually turned over. And Gensler also, why we chose them was they had these thousands of clients they've learned from, both workplaces and design of buildings and cities. And we actually were included in their design forecast in 2015. That building in the upper right is called the Finance Center. That's actually coming up on 9th Avenue and 26th Street. So that's a few of the renderings. So as a company, these are highly functioning buildings, but these are also very beautifully designed buildings with aesthetics. You see the open plaza at the bottom. These are things we see. Okay. Now this other building is turning over next year. This is right near the Philippine Stock Exchange and also the Makati Sheng. This is called World Plaza. So I was actually with one of our principals who's in this room, but we were in Malaysia collecting an award, and we feel very proud of this. It's the Best Office Development in the Philippines Award, okay, for this building. It's not just the first award, but what was great about Malaysia was we were with, this is of course the principal, but that's the plaque. But we were with Raymond Rufino, Charlie Rufino's son, and I know he's left the room, but they won for Net Park Best High-Rise Commercial and Best Office. But 2 years ago, we actually won for another building, and it's this building. Now, maybe in the room you guys can tell in front, but which is a rendering, which is an actual photo. So actually the one to the left is actual photo. And the building on the right is rendering. Okay? So when we build a building, yes, our architects draw it for it, but we ensure we have a whole team to make sure that what we put on paper actually comes to reality. It's very important for us. So we had one for this building as well. The other thing, though, we understand our investors and tenants, and some of you in the room, you're not our only stakeholders. Where we build our buildings, the community that we're in, actually is the urban market we serve. So ULI Philippines, with those actually disaster recovery, what happens if there's a 7.9 earthquake in BGC? So we had one of our tenants, the World Bank, and amongst our team members actually do this scavenger hunt. We were last place, unfortunately, but you know what? The experience is great enough. This is basically the essence of placemaking in some instances. So in 2010, when my family, my immediate family, my parents retired, my brother, we all moved back, what I started seeing was actually glimpses of New York City, London, San Francisco, already in Manila, in the Philippines. This is one of my favorite buildings, really. Of course, it's in Makati. It's a great building, LEED Platinum. It's the only one we have so far in the Philippines, but the design's great. But it wasn't only that. Ayala Triangles. If you guys have seen this around Christmas season, one of the best things. Our friends for Ayala at that table. From the park in the park in Saucedo Village, and Iloilo Esplanade, architect of Paolo Alcazarin. And of course, in BGC, I live in this neighborhood. It's actually, I think Charlie mentioned this also before, and it's a great park. So I've seen the Philippines evolving as well. It's no longer just these major cities. So I asked again, what's the goal of the developer? What's our goal? And actually, it's always going to be, our mindset is to help grow the business of our tenants. We provide the space for them to continue the business. So one of our major tenants in our portfolio is actually the World Bank. They've been with us for about nearly 20 years. So this is actually from the World Bank's Philippine homepage. See, I'm interested in what they're doing because if they're the design and quality of our buildings is what attracts them, and I hope in some way the World Bank's projects I'm part of, right? Because I give them the ability to use our space for them to do their business. Now, what I circled here are actually 3 programs that's been approved by the World Bank, and all 3 of them have an impact on real estate. Those figures on the right, that's the committed amount World Bank's in dollar millions. So you notice the Cebu BRT project. This was just launched last week. It's actually a live project, so they're looking for tender for that. That's a live project. So when I see World Bank doing great things like this, essentially what I understand in design, It's not just good for my tenants, it's actually good for the community, the world, the stakeholders. So this quote basically summarizes how we operate as a group. We understand that design is very important, but it's also because human-centric approach to real estate development is critical nowadays. You know, there's so many more things that we need to learn as a company. There's so many mistakes that we also will make. But most importantly, I look at a room, there's so many more conversations I need to have with all of you to ensure that we build projects of quality and that hopefully has a good impact on the community. Now, of course, I would love for you to get to know us better, we'll be quiet, and hopefully in forums like this we get to share our story, but mainly the stories of our tenants, our partners. So I do look forward to working with you throughout. I'm here for good, this is my home now, and hopefully we can make a better Philippines. So thank you.
Okay,